The dating world can be a confusing place. When you're out on a date, you've got to be able to figure out whether this is somebody with whom you can see some romantic potential. So in this video, I'm going to teach you the most important quality to look for in a romantic partner and how to know when you found it. I'm Dr. Alexandra Solomon, a professor, couples therapist, and author who's passionate about giving you the insights and tools you need to create a happy and healthy romantic relationship. When you're on a date, you're processing a ton of information. You're asking yourself questions like, how attracted is this person to me? Do I see myself with this person over the longer term? Do I see myself even seeing this person again? You're also evaluating the person that you're sitting across from. Do I find them attractive? What's the potential there for me? Can I imagine how they might fit into my life? So in the midst of all this information, it's really important to be able to discern what the most important pieces to pay attention to are. The most important quality to be looking for in a romantic partner is not something you can see on their Bumble profile, but it is something you can start to get information about even on the first date. The most important quality that I want you to be looking for, even as early as the first date, is the degree to which this person exhibits signs of relational self-awareness. Relational self-awareness is a term that I came up with that is really the heart of a lot of the work that I do. It's about the degree to which you are ready, willing, and able to take a look at yourself and all of what romantic relationships, love, attraction, chemistry stirs in you. Relational self-awareness is a curious and compassionate stance that an individual takes vis-a-vis themselves, and that quality, that skill, creates the foundation, the template for the possibility of growing a happy and healthy romantic relationship. So why is relational self-awareness so important? It's because on date one, you probably aren't going to be dealing with a conflict or a problem. But conflict, problems, the stuff hitting the fan is inevitable. It's inevitable in all of our romantic relationships. At some point, that's going to happen. And so you can see little clues early on that are going to give you indicators about how you guys will be able to navigate a rough patch if and when that happens down the road. So I want you to know how to know whether the person you're sitting across from has some degree of relational self-awareness. So I'm going to talk to you about 2 strategies that you can be on the lookout for even as early as date 1 that's going to let you know whether or not there's potential to build a longer term relationship here. Strategy number 1 is to watch their stimulus response process. Okay, what does this mean? Stimulus. There are stimuli, right? We are met all day long with stimuli. Stimuli are the stuff in the world that we are face to face with. And then the response is how we respond to the stuff that's happening in the world around us, right? So the stimulus is a thing out there, and then the response is what I do in reaction to the thing that's out there. In general, we human beings have 3 responses to the stimuli out there: fight, flight, or study. When frustrating things especially happen, we are at risk of doing one of those first 2, fight or flight, right? The person cuts us off, we're driving, and we get, pissy, and we want to like honk our horn or give whatever. Flight is to retreat. Something happens, it makes us feel tense, and we retreat. And then the study response is being able to kind of stay present, stay emotionally regulated, and find a way through, find a way to navigate. So you may have, even on date 1, some awkward moments, a moment of frustration, and you can sort of observe how that person navigates their stimulus response process. Say, for example, the waiter brings the wrong entree. What do you notice? Fight, flight, or study? Like, do they navigate that moment by getting cranky with the waiter and rude? Do they kind of shut down and retreat? Or are they able to kind of handle the moment with some amount of grace? One thing you can start to pay attention to is sort of noticing how do they navigate the world around them. Is there a sense of compassion, gracefulness, gratitude? That's really important because at some point in time, if you continue dating this person, you're going to be the stimulus that provides them with some amount of frustration. So you want to be able to know that they can handle that with some tact and some patience and some skill. So look out for that one. The second strategy I want to tell you about is to pay attention to, listen for, how this person tells stories, especially about their past romantic relationships. People who don't have much relational self-awareness tend to tell stories about past relationships that are loaded up with blame or shame. So they themselves failed, or the other person was a loser, crazy, a fool, or they were a victim. By contrast, people who have relational self-awareness tend to tell stories about past relationships that have these three qualities. Quality one, some amount of shades of gray. So in their story, they might say things like, we both did things wrong. Neither one of us was in a great place to make this relationship work. Second of all, they tell stories that have some amount of generosity of intention. Things like, she tried, but she really couldn't get past her troubled past. Or he really wasn't in a place to make a commitment to me. So there's a sense of generosity of intention. Then the third one is a sense of keeping the big picture in mind. So a relationally self-aware story that keeps the big picture in mind is something like, the relationship didn't work out, but I really grew from it. Or it was really hard for a while, but it taught me a lot about my own resilience. So when you hear those kinds of qualities in a story versus a very simple black and white story about being a victim or other people being, she was the fool, he was crazy, there's a difference there, and it's an important difference. So there you have it, Brave Love Warriors. Choose strategies that you can start using as early as date number 1 to assess the degree to which this person has some relational self-awareness, which again is the most important foundational tool for a happy and healthy romantic relationship. Strategy number 1, looking at that stimulus response process. And strategy number 2, looking at how they tell stories, especially stories of past romantic relationships. For more tips and strategies for navigating the confusing world of dating, watch the next video in this playlist.